Someone recently went to Sam Altman's house and threw a Molotov cocktail at it, attempting to kill the people inside. Unfortunately, I did think that I might have to make a video like this at some point, and to say very clearly that violence is not the answer. This does not help. It is wrong in and of itself. Obviously, it is wrong to take someone's life. It is wrong to leave a child without their father. It is wrong to leave a man without their husband. It also just doesn't work. It doesn't help anything. It delegitimizes the effort of serious academics and activists in trying to stop this race in a legal, democratic, diplomatic way. We did previously see Sam Kirchner of Stop AI get violent with fellow activists and then go around making threats to employees of OpenAI, and they had to shut down their offices. So there have been warning signs that something like this may happen. And unfortunately, this might not be the last time we see someone try to get violent with an employee or a CEO of an AI company, because unfortunately, the situation, the threat is real. AI companies in their actions are posing a serious threat of human extinction. And while the movement that is trying to stop that has been very clear from the beginning, repeatedly, that violence is not the answer, that we condemn all attempts at violence. We saw the person who threw the Molotov cocktail at Sam Altman's house. He made some vague references to violence in the Pause AI Discord server, and he was immediately warned by a moderator that this is not acceptable. But unfortunately, there are mentally unstable people in this world, and there are signs that this was the case with the person who threw the Molotov cocktail at Sam Altman's house, who aren't going to understand that, and they are going to conclude wrongly that violence is the answer. Sam Altman has come out and has called for a de-escalation of the discourse, the rhetoric around AI, and anyone who is calling for or joking about violence, this is absolutely the case. I have not seen a single person calling for a pause on AI development who has called for violence or has joked about it in a meaningful way. In contrast, we have had Yoshua Batch, who is a prominent AI accelerationist, who has joked about killing Doomers on X. So I'll just use this opportunity to tell my tiny audience that if you have watched my stuff and you're worried about the extinction threat of AI, as the experts are, the answer is not violence. In doing that, you make it harder for people who are trying to do this in a peaceful way to succeed. You delegitimize our movement, and you turn the discourse away from reasonable arguments and disagreements and a democratic process by which we can get a global treaty to pause AI development, and you turn it into this irrational, violent thing that is not helpful, that hurts people, and that risks the lives of people on all sides of AI discourse. And I have been pretty surprised, although maybe I shouldn't have been, by some of the reaction in comments on Instagram and other social media sites, where people are celebrating this guy as a hero, similarly to how Luigi Mangione was celebrated as a hero. And I think this is unfortunate, but you know, I shouldn't have been as surprised by it as I am. And I think this reaction is a product of like the hopelessness that people feel from the social media algorithms and the 24-hour news cycle, just making everything out to be this unsolvable mess where everything's out to get you, everything's going to shit, there's no hope, there's no possibility of improving things democratically and diplomatically, which is just completely wrong. There are problems we face. There are very serious problems we face, and AI, I think, is at the top of the list of problems we face, for various reasons that I'm not going to get into in this video, because that's not the point. But if people are fed this bullshit by con artists trying to get their attention on social media, by social media algorithms that just incentivize the most extreme opinions, where people are calling for revolution, people are calling for the downfall of Western society and an end to democracy and all this, because they just don't see a way out of the problems we face through peaceful means, which is just completely wrong. We have solved many problems before through peaceful means, right? In the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, we were constantly faced with the threat of nuclear Armageddon. We did not need to go out and kill nuclear engineers and politicians in order to stop nuclear Armageddon. We were able to work together across parties, across countries, to sign international agreements to limit nuclear non-proliferation and ultimately protect humanity from the greatest existential threat it had ever faced. We did the same when it came to CFCs, right? We did not need to go out and kill the CEOs of CFC companies. We were able to use peaceful political processes to bring about an international treaty that banned the use of CFCs and saved our ozone layer and stopped all of the horrific things that would have happened if we didn't do that. Positive news stories, positive examples of politicians working together and solving our problems, they are there, but they're just completely buried by 24-hour news cycles that focus on the most horrific shit that people do. They focus on the corruption of politicians and war and all these things. And that is there, right? It's important that our journalists cover those things and our social media algorithms show us those things now and again, but it's not representative of reality. We can solve problems through policy. We have before, we will again. Violence is not the answer. Now, there has been some rhetoric around this from AI accelerationists and people who work at AI companies saying that this is the fault of doomers, as they would put it, of people who are warning about the extinction threat of AI, that this would have inevitably led to someone taking this kind of action. When you're faced with a problem like this, the correct response is not to lie, is not to pretend that the problem doesn't exist because there are some mentally unstable individuals who will wrongly conclude that violence is the answer. The solution is to, yes, warn about the risks. And this is where I will somewhat agree with these criticisms. The solution is not just to warn about the risks, not just to paint this picture of doom, but to provide a solution, to provide policy solution. That's what I try to do with my platform. I'm trying to call for a global pause, for international dialogue on this issue. So are the likes of Eliezer Yudkowsky, so are the likes of Jeffrey Hinton and Yoshua Bengio, and most of the experts that warn about this. I do agree that, for example, Miri's death with dignity strategy was maybe going a little bit too far in that direction. And, you know, if it were the case that the only thing we can do is die with dignity, then, you know, I'm not going to say I can understand someone concluding that therefore violence is the action, but if they're not presented with a way to solve this problem through peaceful means, then, you know, where is their brain going to go? That doesn't justify it. That doesn't mean it's okay. We need to warn about the problem, yes, but we need to provide a solution. We need to provide ways that people can help. And that is what a large part of the pause movement has been doing, and I hope will continue to do. In conclusion, violence is not the answer. It is wrong to hurt people. Don't let the actions of others corrupt your soul and turn you into the very thing that you are trying to fight against. Keep your humanity. We can stop this race peacefully, and that is what we're going to do.